Thank you for joining us. I'm Courtney Cole with the WBZ News Update and a look at our top stories. Investigators are trying to find the cause of this house fire you're looking at here in Milton. This was on Hillside Street this morning, and you can see the smoke and flames that were coming from the home. Now, fortunately, there are no reports of any injuries. We now know the small plane that crashed in Western Mass was from a flight school and a student pilot was on board. State police say around 11:30 yesterday morning, dog walkers were actually the people who saw the plane go down in Light and Wildlife Management area. This is in Greenfield. 3 people died in the crash. They include the owner of the Fly Lugu Flight School, 53-year-old Frederica Ballard from Southwick. Also killed a flight instructor, 68-year-old William Hampton from Indian Orchard, and a student pilot, a 29-year-old named Chad Davidson from Woodstock, Connecticut. NTSB investigators are expected to arrive today. And in Boston, Governor Maura Healey, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, and others were among those who attended the 54th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Breakfast. Khalil Gibran Mohammed, a professor of history, race, and public policy at Harvard Kennedy School, was the keynote speaker. He said King's work is still unfinished.
Remember, Dr. King said in 1967 that white supremacy was embedded in every textbook and preached in practically every pulpit. It was a structural part of the culture. And when you finally have people like me, 50 years later at a university like Harvard, you still have to fight with one hand tied behind your back to diversify the curriculum, to educate people who would otherwise believe the racist lies their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents were taught.
We are in a next weather alert as more snow and colder temperatures head our way. Let's go ahead and get a check of your next weather forecast with meteorologist Jason Mikell.
We'll pick it back up from here right now, talking about all the cold weather that we've had. Not as cold as much of the nation is dealing with, certainly in the central and also high plains, even down south, waking up to some teens. It even feels like temperatures in the single digits. What is happening here? Well, snow is going to be moving into the New England corridor come tomorrow morning. Think 8 a.m., think 9 a.m. when we start to see the first flakes inside the 495 area. As far as the cold sector, it sticks around through the heart of the week here, and even more reinforcing shot of cold air moves in by the next weekend. Bitterly cold wind chills. As far as the snowfall so far this season, Boston, all but just a little bit here. Less than 4 inches recorded in the city in January thus far. Well, we should be at least 4 times that so far in the season. How about Worcester? Over 16 inches recorded so far. They should be roughly about 25.5 inches. So again, we're still kind of slow in terms of getting the snow to come down from the skies, but it increases overnight tonight. Light snow mainly south in the upper teens, perhaps even low 20s. Tomorrow, snow becomes even more amplified and multiplies. Some mixing will happen south and east along the Cape and the Islands, with more chances for some snowfall along the city and areas north. Let's get everything into motion right now, where you can see the snow begins to develop across the region overnight tonight. Throughout the day tomorrow, it really starts to beef up once we get past sunrise tomorrow. Think 7, 8, 9 a.m. and even some mixing prompting, because we're going to have an easterly wind coming in off of the ocean. Again, that is going to be a little bit of a warming wind, but most of the snow showers will be confined along central and western Mass, where this bullseye area you see here a little bit darker. That indicates some really heavy snow coming down, and I think we'll start to nudge the Boston metro region roughly around 6 and 7 p.m. before things really start to taper off. I want to point your attention to something, okay? Once we get past dinner time tomorrow, this clearing that happens here, this is going to be a very cold sector of cold air slicing right down into Boston. And again, that really kind of moves on into the region Tuesday night into Wednesday. So Wednesday morning is going to be noticeably colder than Tuesday morning. Closer scan now, we can see stopping the clock at 5 a.m. Just a few flakes moving through the region, begins to really multiply again. Once we get into the afternoon, that onshore flow is going to be a little bit more of a rainy mix over in some areas along the south shore of the Cape and the Islands. Through about 5 p.m., there's that cold air swashing down in here, bringing in with it that northerly wind. That northerly wind is Arctic air, and that really reinforcing a really good shot of it once we get towards the end of the week. That nexus of cold air really centered across southern New England through Sunday, and that will prompt single-digit and perhaps even below zero wind chills waking up on Sunday morning. Our next weather alert day is likely going to be on Friday with our next system moving on in. That is going to be another snowy one for us because temperatures will be locked in well below the freezing mark again Saturday morning and Sunday morning. Courtney?
Jason, thank you. I'm Courtney Cole, and this has been a WBZ News Update.